trace minerals, 78 of them. You'll notice down here the ones that disappeared down this bottom area are the toxic ones, the things that are radioactive, heavy metals. These things are not a part of Cellfood. So the important notes that you should know about your trace minerals that are in Cellfood, specifically they are plant sourced, they are all organic, they are colloidal in size. This is a big keyword in the nutritional supplement industry over the last half a dozen years. They are colloidal in size, which means that they measure less than a micron. In our case, they're 4 to 7 nanometers. This is extremely important because Cellfood is actually absorbed through the mouth, throat, and esophagus. You may think that you're drinking Cellfood and it goes into the stomach, but that's not the case. Because of the atomic weight of the deuterium sulfate as a base, it actually is absorbed through the mucosal tract. So that's why you're getting such great performance out of the product. It's not going through the digestive tract. Like the counterpart on the minerals, enzymes are proteins that convert other proteins into fats, carbohydrates, and other usable substances for the body. The enzymes must be present in your body for your body to be able to utilize vitamins and other nutrient content. You must have enzymes. Extremely important. Your product, Cellfood, contains 2 different types of enzymes, both metabolic and digestive enzymes. The metabolic enzymes serve as antioxidants. These are the ones that are helping to reduce free radical activity. And the digestive ones are the obvious ones that are secreted through the mouth, throat, and esophagus and through the intestinal flora area that actually speed up and accelerate digestion. Like the mineral content, they are all plant-sourced in size, or they're actually plant-source based. They're colloidal in size, which gives us a very high absorption rate. One of the interesting things when we talk about how it is that we're able to get this mucosal absorption, an interesting point, I don't have a slide on it, but I should bring it up anyway. Cellfood is an interesting product in that it has a negative charge. You hear about colloidal in size. Well, there's also another measurement when we're talking about nutritional products, and that is the negative charge or the ionic ability for the product to carry a charge. And that's what ionic means. Ionic means that the product itself has a charge, whether it's negative or positive, it has some kind of a charge. So Cellfood actually has a negative charge. Why? Cellfood has a negative charge because the rest of the bodily fluids, which include blood, lymph, saliva, semen, every single human body fluid has a negative charge. When Cellfood is introduced into the mouth, the body perceives it as its own bodily fluid and allows for mucosal absorption and assimilation. Amino acids. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on amino acids, just to say that all of our amino acids are free-form amino acids. They do not come from milk proteins. They are also colloidal in size, and there's a total of 17 different amino acids in the product. So some of the different exciting things that I wanted to share with you today, which is kind of unusual because I'm not usually allowed to present these types of things, but I thought I'd bring them along with me just to give you an idea of what Cellfood looks like in a clinical environment and what Cellfood looks like in the real world environment. The first study that I want to share with you is something called zeta potential. When we talked about a product having a colloidal charge, zeta is one of the measurements that's used in a biomedical laboratory. And you'll see that it measures product stability, product absorption, it measures the ionization or that charge of the group, and it also measures the electrolyte potential, how it increases cellular communication within the human body. We actually enlisted the work of 2 specific experts, Brookhaven Instruments Corporation and Particle Characterization Laboratories here in America. These are 2 companies that actually specialize in the testing of these types of products. So we sent out the samples to them. It was kind of an interesting story. We sent them out. About 3 weeks later, we get a call from the first one, from Brookhaven, and they said, you're going to have to send us another sample because something is wrong. We're getting readings that aren't possible. So we said, okay, we'll send you out another couple bottles. Then Particle Characterization Laboratories, Russ called, and he said, there's something wrong with your product. There's something weird here. We're going to have to test it again. Can you send us some other samples? So we said, sure. And at that point, we began to think, this is going to be an interesting study because they're already talking about things that they'd never seen before. So this is what you're looking at. On the left, you're looking at an 8-ounce glass of deionized water. This is a pure, it's actually reverse osmosis deionized water, almost a dead water. It has virtually no nutritional content to it. And I'm going to bring your attention to this middle area first before we get into some of the actual measurements. Oops, let's go back here. This middle area here, you're looking at basically the glass of water, and you're looking at a very, very unstable environment. This is very rare for water, especially for distilled water, but that shows you how accurate their testing equipment is. On the right, this is the same glass of water after they've added 8 drops of Cellfood. You can see how much more stable environment Cellfood provides. So let's get into the testing. The first testing that they did was they actually wanted to measure something called conductivity. And conductivity is basically what we call electrolytes. Anybody heard of Gatorade? Huge seller of electrolyte potential or electrolyte concentrate. Well, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about extracellular and intracellular communication inside the human body. And it's called conductivity. Well, the glass of water measures 9 microsiemens, which is relatively flat. 0 microsiemens would be flat, but at 9, they're measuring at least a little bit of conductivity. This is Cellfood. 192,323 microsiemens. This is about the equivalent of 40 bottles of Gatorade in 8 drops of Cellfood. Extremely, extremely potent electrolyte. So the next study we asked them to do was to actually measure the mean zeta potential. Mean zeta potential, again, is measuring the actual microconductivity of the water itself, and it measures the ionization. If it's positively charged, that means that, to explain, it's kind of like water and oil. Water and oil are not able to penetrate each other because of their surface tensions don't match. Well, if you have a positively charged ionic formula into a negatively charged ionic formula, it's not going to mesh. It's not going to allow any permeation. So we measured the glass of water, and it measured, as we thought, a positive 3.65. Cellfood measured a negative 22.66 millivolts, which is virtually identical to the intra and extracellular fluids inside the human body. That's one of the ways that we're able to get such great absorption and assimilation of the nutrient content. Furthering this idea of surface tension and how is it that water and oil, or why is it that water and oil are not able to penetrate each other, when you put Cellfood into a glass of water, a lot of people talk about water being a wonderful hydration molecule, and it actually is. It measures very, very well. But it measures very well despite the fact that water has a much higher surface tension than the extracellular and intracellular cells that are inside the human body. Despite that fact, water is still a great hydration tool. But how much better is it with Cellfood? Well, we decided to measure. What you're looking at here is a chart that was done by Augustine Scientific Laboratories, and it actually measures the water at the very beginning, which is here, at 70 microdynes. This is what regular water is. Extracellular body fluids are down here around 40 to 45. As soon as we put in Cellfood into 8 drops of Cellfood into 8 ounces of water, we saw a dramatic decrease in surface tension down to the exact same surface tension of extracellular and intracellular body fuels. And here's the second part of the study, the exact same thing. Both results showed that Cellfood was able to decrease the surface tension of that glass of water to increase the absorption and the hydration of the human body. Okay, so we talked about free radicals and these dangerous free radicals. All of us have them. Anybody here eat things they shouldn't eat? I saw you at lunch. You can't lie to me. Anybody here smoke? I saw you guys afterwards. Those of you that walked outside and you were standing outside, like 4 or 5 of you smoking. Okay, so there are lots of different things that cause free radical damage in the human body. Even normal acts. In fact, I'm going to show you as part of a study that we did with some athletes. Even those people that are in great shape, that eat well, doing physical activity, doing exercise actually generates dangerous free radicals for the human body. I'm going to show you what this looks like. So we ended up taking a healthy subject sample of 5,000 people, and we measured what their normal free radical activity would be. And it was determined that around from 250 to 300 car units is what a normal average human being is, a healthy person, between 250 and 300. That's our baseline. Between, so 300 to 320 is your borderline range where you're actually going a little bit and you're creating excess free radicals. 321 to 340, you've got a low level of oxidative stress. 341 to 400 is a mid-level of oxidative stress. 401 to 500 is a high level of oxidative stress. And above 500, call 911. You're in trouble. So this is interesting. This is part of the interesting things that we find out as we begin to test Cellfood. What you're looking at here is an in vitro, a live study that we did, or an in vivo study, where we took and separated into 3 different categories: a group of smokers, you know who you are, the athletes, none of us, and the people with the poor diet and that are overweight or considered obese. So these are the three different categories that we actually separated them. And then we did it by age, from 18 to 30 and 31.